All right, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fan Discussions. This is going to be the second part of our Macho Man Randy Savage series. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank, and let's get into this. This is the highlight, one of the highlights of Randy Savage's illustrious WWE career was this segment from 1987 that we're covering all the way through 89. So, you want to start us off on it?
Yeah. I'll get into what happened on the Saturday night's main event, a little backstory. So there's conflicting reports on if this happened on this Saturday night's main event in what this is 87, right?
Yeah,
Or it happened in 88, like February 88. But
the main event.
it seemed the main event, but it seems to make more sense that it was this one because there's enough time between this Saturday night's main event and WrestleMania. As I tell the story, it'll make more sense. So supposedly on this night when he faced Honky Tonk Man was supposed to drop the title to Macho Man Randy Savage. The story goes, this is from Honky Tonk Man. He said that he met with I guess they were meeting with Dick Ebersol, the guy that was doing NBC. He was also producing Saturday Night's Main Event, and they had Macho Man and Elizabeth had a meeting with him, and they were kind of like dismissed Honky Tonk Man. Then he has a vent. Which he found curious. If he's in the match, why isn't he part of this meeting? Then he has a meeting with Vince and Macho Man and Liz, and Vince doesn't even look at him, and he's like, "Oh yeah." So then Macho Man's gonna go over. He's gonna win the title, and he says, and he tells Honky Tonk Man, "And you're gonna disappear." And Honky Tonk Man's like, "Okay." He was thinking like, "Am I getting fired?" Then somebody tells him like, "Oh no, they're gonna repackage you." And he's like, "Why would they repackage me? Like I'm over as a heel. Why would they repackage me?" So he contacts somebody down in Jim Crockett Promotions. I forgot who he spoke to in Jim Crockett. I forget the name. And he was already kind of negotiating a contract to go down there. At this point, he didn't have a contract with WWF. He was on a handshake deal, just like going through like getting paid, like I guess per appearance. It wasn't like a contract, so he was free to leave. So what ends up happening is they told him, whoever it was down in Jim Crockett Promotions, tells him, don't whatever you do, don't drop the title because you're gonna kill your character and you're gonna come in here. And so he tells Vince he has the meeting, but before that he meets with Macho Man and he tells Macho Man, look, it's not personal. This is what's going on. This is what's going on, my character and everything, and blah 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 blah. Macho Man understood. Supposedly Macho Man was cool with the whole thing. He didn't take it personally. He told Vince. Vince flipped out on him that he wasn't going to drop the title. So the snowball effect of this is that the story goes that Ted DiBiase was supposed to win the WWF title at WrestleMania 4, and he was going to be a heel champion. And Macho Man was supposed to be the IC champion. And because of this, they pivoted because he didn't drop the title. He refused. They pivoted and they ended up making Macho Man the champion at WrestleMania 4. And he was going to, and then supposedly they wanted a babyface champion anyway, because that's how it went back then for like prolonged period. Because Hogan was going on his hiatus. We'll get into that in a minute. So supposedly this is the night where he was supposed to win the IC title, but instead we got the Mega Powers.
And pretty much Randy Savage gets a promotion because, all right, if you're not going to lose,
if the story is true,
if you're not going to get the Intercontinental title, let's go to WrestleMania main event and win the title. So it worked out for both of them. But I mean, there's probably a little bit of truth to it, I believe, because why else then would they have literally squashed Honky at SummerSlam the way they did?
Yeah.
Because if they wanted to take the title off of him, I think they wanted to do it the right way to kind of to get at him. Because if they really wanted to take the belt off him, they could have done it in WrestleMania 4 with Beefcake. Mm-hmm. But they saw the opportunity. I mean, granted, Beefcake was supposed to win the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam, but due to the injury, they put the Warrior in there, and the way the fashion they did it. So it's amazing how they got to dictate themselves back then. But I mean, like I just said, it benefited Savage more than anything. And to make matters even worse on this night.
I forgot. This is the best part. I don't believe this story, but it's still hilarious. Honky Tonk Man claims that he told Vince, if you want your Intercontinental title, you have to beat me. So he told him to come down to wherever Honky Tonk Man lives and wrestle him. And if he could beat him in a wrestling match in a shoot, that he'll give him the IC title. And he said, I'll only give it to either you if you beat me, or I'll actually give it to Hogan because Hogan is the one that helped me. Because Hogan's the one that recommended him to be the IC champion. So I don't believe that story, but it's still hilarious. If he told Vince that, that's hysterical.
The fact that he's still employed, if he told him that, is hysterical.
Right.
And the fact that why, if I'm Vince, I'd be like, let's go. That would have been funny. Oh man. Any event. That it was a whole crazy night, October 3rd, 1987, with this whole thing. Honky got himself disqualified, so that was the ending of that bout. So Honky keeps the title, and it doesn't go the way it's supposed to. But to make matters worse, at this point, the Hart Foundation got interfered in this whole thing, and there was
with Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart, yeah, Jimmy Hart.
So Honky had shoved Elizabeth at this point because they're going to
nobody had put their hands on Elizabeth to that point.
Mm-mm.
You don't put your hands on Elizabeth
because they're going to hit him with the guitar.
Yeah.
She disappears.
That looked like a bad guitar shot later. Was it this night? He does get the guitar shot, right? Or
yes, it was.
It looked bad.
Because I remember seeing it when they showed the wedding video for Savage and Elizabeth a few years later. They show that where she's pleading for it, and Savage is out, and Brett's over there smiling, and then Honky. They don't show this, but they show this that night that Honky threw her down. She disappears into the back, and she comes out with former rival of Randy Savage's, Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the night that the Mega Powers officially began. Is when Hogan came to Savage's aid.
This was a big deal. What did I forget? I haven't seen this in years. I think they were chanting Hogan, right?
Oh yeah, as soon as they came out, they gave him an ovation. Oh yeah, especially in this moment and especially when Elizabeth came down.
And Hogan, what's funny though, Hogan's like looking around, like why is she bringing me out here? I would imagine that she went backstage and said, I need your help. They're about to kill Macho Man. I don't think she just grabbed them.
No, I
don't think she was physically capable of dragging him out there because Hogan looks like he doesn't know what's going on. And then he's like,
then he sees what's happening.
Right.
Wait a minute.
It's all right. It's fun. It was fun back then.
And what this did was not only and with the handshake that Savage gave to Hogan, this solidified his fan favorite turn because it was sort of being done just slowly, but this officially solidified at that night.
So I didn't see this. I didn't see the Saturday Night's Main Event live. Like the formation of the Mega Powers, I believe I saw the highlights on Superstars that the Mega Powers had formed. If memory serves, I'm trying to remember. I know I didn't see it live.
I didn't either.
I remember it was a weekend. It was definitely a weekend that I was watching this on one probably Channel 5 back then, WPIX, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, Fox. Fox was 5 back then. And I remember seeing this and I was like blown away as a kid. Like I couldn't believe like Macho Man and Hulk Hogan had teamed up because I remember they feuded before and Macho Man was a heel. Mm-hmm. So to see those two guys, and I always like Macho Man.
Oh yeah.
So this was a big deal. This was a big deal.
They had solidified it that night backstage in an interview with Mean Gene Okerlund where they shook hands and everything and the whole place went nuts. And when I saw this, I was like, oh man, this is awesome. Mm-hmm. And so, over the next 4 months, Hogan and Savage teamed up several times. There was a house show in November of '87 in Vancouver. It was a 6-man tag team match. Hogan and Savage teamed up with Duggan, and they beat Bundy, Rude, and Harley Race. So that was kind of like their official match together. Mm-hmm. And then of course later on, it was like formed, but it wasn't like official.
No,
like
it's not official.
Together the whole time.
Right.
Not until '88, because then the Survivor Series came around in '87. Savage was, successful in his match with Steamboat and Roberts over Honky's team. Remember, Honky just walked out, said, "I had enough of this." That pretty much ended. It almost ended the feud because they did have one more match to their thing. The feud continued into '88. The last big match between the two was the undercard match on February 5th, 1988, on the main event, and that was the undercard to Hogan Andre. Mm-hmm. Savage won by countout. Unfortunately, during the feud, during this time, and like you had said, he didn't get back the Intercontinental title how he was supposed to. But a couple months later, something huge was going to happen for this man, and that was at WrestleMania 4. And Savage participated. It was a 14-man tournament. I thought it was funny that they did 14 but because Hogan and Andre got a first
They got
round
the
bye,
bye. They got the first round bye. Yeah.
which and again to this day, I loved this tournament.
Yeah,
This
me
was
too.
awesome. And Savage was a man of tournaments. King of
Yep.
the Ring, he did it. We talked about it in the last episode. And he didn't have any slouches either in his bout to the finals. I mean, he defeated the Natural Butch Reed, which is not an easy task. Greg the Hammer Valentine, and the One Man Gang. One Man Gang was by disqualification.
Yeah, we spoke about this in the WrestleMania 4 review. I understand it was a different time in the business, but what a missed opportunity that they did not have Steamboat versus Randy Savage.
Yes,
rematch.
I agree.
But Macho Man goes over this time. They could have done it in the first round, and they could have done it in the second round.
I think the second round would have been perfect.
Yeah.
What a way to the crowd to really get into this. We have the rematch from a year ago. Because why not? We got Hogan and Andre in a rematch from a year ago, so why not this?
I think I'm trying to remember, man. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I apologize to everybody, but I feel like Steamboat did mention something about it. I don't know if it was during his WrestleMania promo or a promo prior to this. He did allude to the fact that they might end up facing each other in the next round, but of course Steamboat loses, so it never happens.
Yeah.
But what a missed opportunity, man. I know they didn't really do the babyface versus babyface thing back then. And I think that was the thinking. They didn't want to make the fans choose, and maybe they were scared that Randy might get booed and they might go with Steamboat.
Yeah, that's possible.
It's tricky, but I'm just saying as a fan, they should have given us that. I would have loved to have seen that.
There's another guy you could have put in this tournament that you had him in the Battle Royal in the opening match, but you could have easily put Bret Hart in this, even if it's a first round loss against Steamboat.
Yeah,
like their feud that they just had, or even against Macho Man Randy Savage, just to see what he could do, because Bret was still not so much of a fan favorite yet. I mean, it happened shortly after this,
right.
But I think putting him in the tournament would have been a little better too.
Yeah,
but now, I'm not knocking the guys that were in it, but I mean, just adding that and having that second round match, I can understand, like you said, how if they boo Savage, now what do we do? Because if he beats him, okay, this is the guy we want to win it,
right?
So, but I guess that could be the reason why they didn't do it. Yeah. Who knows? So after getting through all of those guys on his way to the finals, he's set up for the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Now, obviously, with Andre at ringside and Virgil, this is going to be impossible for Savage. So he got sick and tired of of Andre, tripping him up and all things. So what does he do? Whispers in Elizabeth's ear. Here we go again. She's heading to the back, and she pulls out Hulk Hogan. And here we go. The Mega Powers are once again together that we've seen on TV, and the first time on a pay-per-view. And Hogan kind of evened it up now with being a ringside with Andre. Mm-hmm. Savage hits that elbow on DiBiase. The place went nuts, batshit crazy.
You see all the flashing
lights when he was coming off.
Yeah, all the people taking pictures.
Yep. Hogan has to run over, hurry up, and get the belt before Andre grabs it. Which I'm really still surprised to this day Hogan actually gave it to him.
Right. Yeah. Well, Hogan had to stick himself in the middle of everything.
Yeah. I wouldn't have been surprised if he takes it and goes right back up the upstairs. Okay, I'll see you guys later. I got my belt back.
Kind of took away from Randy's moment, man. As much as I like Hogan, I liked Hogan back then, I should say.
That's the only thing I didn't like about the Mega Powers is that Savage didn't really get to go out there and shine on his own. That they felt maybe he needed somebody like Hogan to be by his side to get over with the crowd, but he didn't. No. He really didn't. Because after this, Savage is now the champion. Hogan disappears.
Yeah, this was cool that Macho Man came out during that pay-per-view with a different outfit every time. And I think Elizabeth too, right? For every match.
Yeah. She had the white, the blue, the red.
Kept changing the gear.
That was the fourth one.
That was cool. And leading into this, the story was that Hogan was going to film No Holds Barred. So that's why they had to temporarily put the title on somebody. And they chose Macho Man. Macho Man was over, and he had proved himself at that point. So they gave him the title while Hogan went to film No Holds Barred.
Mm-hmm. And even though they were house shows from WrestleMania to SummerSlam, Savage was still by himself getting over with the crowd. And over the course of 1988, he defended the title successfully against One Man Gang, the Big Boss Man, Andre the Giant, and Bad News Brown, and that one was more towards '89. I'll get to that in a little bit. Um, and then even fighting Ted DiBiase as well.
Yeah, yeah, he wrestled with DiBiase a lot.
Now, here's where it starts getting fun. The Mega Powers thing starts getting interesting. On March 12th, 1988, on Saturday Night's Main Event, Savage wrestled DiBiase in a singles match. DiBiase obviously accompanied by Virgil and Andre, of course. Halfway through the match, the referee ejected Virgil from ringside for outside interference. The match ended when Andre took advantage of the referee being incapacitated, and he rammed Savage into the ring post. So now he's got a handicap match that he's dealing with here. When the referee came to, he counted Savage out of the ring. Following the match, now Virgil returns. So he's dealing with a 3-on-1. Miss Elizabeth ran away once again from ringside and brought back Hulk Hogan. So now, and this time he came with a steel chair.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of see that the motion was all coming to play where we were leading to pretty much for SummerSlam. And so a few months later, after with Hogan on a leave of absence from the WWF, obviously Savage feuding with DiBiase over the title, they attacked him during an interview segment, prompting Savage to challenge the two of them to a tag team match at SummerSlam. What was it? Lost my thought here. He obviously had to choose his partner. Savage then revealed that his partner would be the returning Hogan, and they would meet Andre and DiBiase at SummerSlam. Now, and obviously the kicker to this was Jesse Ventura being the special guest referee in this, because Ventura hated the two of them. And we've talked about SummerSlam '88, how how the match went. I love the fact that Elizabeth did what she did, pulling off her skirt, and just DiBiase and Andre were like, you see the two of them shaking hands at ringside as they're getting the bucket, and all of a sudden they turned it around and they get the victory. So now this is where the Mega Powers are off and running. So with Savage and Hogan getting the victory here comes the typical Hulk Hogan celebration.
Hogan must pose.
Oh yeah, but this time he's posing with a married woman, and it wasn't so much that, I mean, you could tell when we get to Survivor Series here that Savage was starting to get bitter. But this, I believe it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't this the one where Hogan grabbed her ass?
Yeah, he kind of like lightly touched. I guess they were lifting her up. I think it was one.
Yeah, instead of using the leg, he grabbed him a handful of cheek. Okay, so Savage wasn't.
It's not really.
There was no bitterness here.
Yeah, they don't really. This is brought up later on. Like they show the footage. Like, oh, this was the beginning of it. Of the lust.
To me, I think the beginning was Survivor Series.
The beginning was WrestleMania. The beginning was WrestleMania when he stole the Macho Man spotlight.
How about the beginning was when Savage decided to grab him to begin with? Because anybody that teams with Hogan eventually turns on him.
I'm saying the beginning of Hogan's jealousy is what I'm saying.
Well, Hogan had to be in the spotlight. He was there for almost 4 years before he lost that title.
Yeah.
And now he's irrelevant. He's second bananas to Savage, and he's trying not to be. So, which I think is ridiculous. I mean, come on, you had your 4-year run. Let the man have his. You're gonna get it back.
But that's booking, and Hogan was still a megastar. So
yeah, seriously. So from there, their next feud as a tag team was the Twin Towers, which I like it to an extent. I just didn't see Boss Man and Akeem as
Twin Towers were good, man.
They were, but not world wrestling entertainment.
But those guys were massive.
Title contenders.
That's before Boss Man loses the weight.
Yeah, he was really
Boss Man was huge,
big.
Man, huge.
And then Akeem had the makeover from One Man Gang.
Akeem,
why
the African
I don't
Dream.
know. My God,
never do that today. But I liked them. They were believable because they were so big.
Yeah, as in the tag team division, yes, and the Mega Powers were the tag team. But I mean, for the title, I just didn't. It was too soon for me for Boss Man.
I don't know. I didn't. I feel like it's been so many years. When they teamed up with Andre at some point, they referred to Eiffel. He has the Eiffel Tower. They referred to Andre Giant as the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, when at SummerSlam '89, when the
That's
three
what
of
it
them
was,
teamed
right?
against Demolition and Duggan.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite 6-man tags because all the obesity you had on that side, it's like, oh
So it
my
should have been the
god,
cholesterol match.
seriously, the cholesterol connection instead of the colossal.
So
Actually, there you go. The machines. You had the machines at one point. You got the machines again. So, I mean, the feud with them was okay. It really culminated. It was enjoyable at Survivor Series when the Mega Powers teamed up with Red Rooster, Coco Beware, and Hillbilly Jim versus against Bossman, Akeem, Red Rooster, Haku, and Ted DiBiase. Yeah. Sorry about that. And this match was it was pretty good. You know, it had the typical stuff in it. What I thought was funny was Hogan comes out last when they were introduced, which I'm sorry. Are you the champion? Savage should have come out.
I mean, Hogan gets a huge pop, but that's not the point. The Macho Man should have came out last.
Hogan should have came out with the team.
Yeah.
And Savage should have came out on his own, recognized as the champion. But this is the way. It's like Savage is the champion, but you're going to be the undercard to this guy.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm Savage, I'm going to start getting pissed off too. And this match took a turn with the whole, Hogan gets handcuffed. Savage is looking for the tag towards the end of the match. All of a sudden, when Slick's got the whole thing, he gets knocked out. Ventura says she's picking his wallet.
Yeah.
Gets the handcuff off. Savage just kind of falls back into the tag, if there even was one. Hogan gets the victory. Now, I love this is where, to me, the Mega Powers were starting to explode, because you have Savage is in the corner fighting for his life to get up, and Hogan's over here hugging and celebrating with Elizabeth after she goes over.
Macho Man's half dead. He's half dead, out of breath, and Hogan's posing.
She goes over there to see how he's doing, and he pulls her away to hug her, and then
well, what happens is, I guess she goes to Hogan and to tell him Randy's
to
hurt,
help him out, yeah.
And then he just lifts her up, and then Macho Man eventually comes over.
You can see the look in his eyes, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's when they were planting the seeds.
And he's talking to him, he's pointing to him, and Hogan's oblivious to the whole thing, I'm not even paying attention to you. And I'm like, oh, here comes WrestleMania.
Yep.
And you know what? This was the start of the whole thing, because believe it or not, in early '89, the problems between Savage and Hogan started developing, especially now when Hogan officially took Elizabeth as his manager. This is also
she was splitting managerial duties.
Which I always thought it makes sense, because if she's managing them as a tag team, why not come out with them individually? I mean, honestly.
They did it for the story. They knew where they were going with this, so. Yeah,
because it continued at the Royal Rumble when Hogan accidentally eliminated Savage, and Savage came back. Yeah, well, we saw that. How many times did we see that with Shawn Michaels with Diesel? Come on, it always is going to happen.
He was putting Elizabeth in harm's way.
Yeah, and Savage got back in the ring. They were starting to fight until Elizabeth separated them. Now, before I get into the official blow up, Savage's last run as his last feud as running with champion was Bad News Brown. They finally granted it to him. It ended they had a street fight match prior to WrestleMania, but Savage did the official heel turn, which it was a couple of weeks prior to WrestleMania, where he defended the title against the Ultimate Warrior. So now you know the heel turn is officially taken form. They had the champion versus champion on a house show. So on the main event number 2, the Mega Powers took on the Twin Towers in a match that saw Elizabeth accidentally get injured at ringside.
Yeah, this is a legendary night.
Oh my God, this will go down in infamy. And the bump she took was pretty hard.
Yeah, it did look pretty.
And
bad.
Then when you see her her spine, I'm get this girl a sandwich after you revive her, because she looked like she wasn't eating anything.
Apparently, Randy was very nervous about her taking bumps.
I don't blame him.
Yeah,
and this one looked pretty bad. I mean, I don't know if it was planned that way, but that bump, when she hit the ground, and the roll, I was like, man, I hope she is all right. And so Hogan carries her back to the dressing room. So now Savage is dealing with a 2-on-1 handicap match.
He leaves him for dead.
Oh my God.
Unfortunately, we don't have access to the original broadcast, there might be some YouTube clips floating around.
Yeah.
But there were errors, there were mistakes. There's a scene where if you saw it live, I saw it live, but I can't.
I did, but I don't remember it.
I can't say that I actually remember this, but I have seen the clips over the years where Hogan is like, "Oh, Elizabeth, I hope you're okay," and then like he goes like, "What's the tizime?" That's Carney speak that the wrestlers. So it's basically he was asking what the time was, he not realizing that they were actually live.
Yeah.
Right, and then there's a scene where you could see Brutus Beefcake is there, and he's not supposed to be there because later on he comes out to help Hogan. So there was some screw ups on this one.
Yes, there was.
Despite that, this is a legendary night.
Yes, it was, because this enraged Savage to the point when Hogan got back to the ring.
Right.
Okay, brother, I'm here.
After holding Elizabeth's hand and crying and like, "Oh, you're okay, Elizabeth."
Yeah, Savage, he abandoned Hogan. When he went for the tag, he slapped him. And then gets out of the ring, and Hogan's pretty much.
This is a recurring theme. Himself. This becomes a recurring theme of.
Jesus, was this a Sid Justice moment too? You know, that sounds familiar. Like, go for the tag. No, I'm not going to tag you. So, despite the outcome of the match, which at this point nobody really cared, this escalated to the back. You know, where she's on the gurney, Savage is up in his face. They got into a heated argument where Savage declared to Hogan that he was an inferior wrestler to him and that Hogan wanted to steal Elizabeth from him.
Yep.
This is where the whole, you got lust in your eyes, brother. And he's telling him, would you talk some sense into him?
Talk some sense into him.
But this is where the challenge for WrestleMania 5 came, because he said, if you want a shot at this, come at me like a man. I will beat you anywhere, anytime, any place.
Yep.
And to seal the deal, he comes off a camera. Hogan's looking at Elizabeth, and he hits him with the belt.
He blasts him. You know, he hit him for real.
I would too.
He actually hit him for real, because Hogan ends up getting like he actually has like a knot in his head later on. But
and you hear Elizabeth go, "Randy, no!"
Yeah. Look, Hogan had it coming, man.
You blame him?
Randy, I would have beat his ass too, man.
I mean, especially in that match. I mean, people from the back could have easily. I mean, we know it's storyline.
I know.
But think about it. Think about it. People from the back could have easily come out with a stretcher and grab.
Yeah,
you're in a tag team.
There was no reason.
Two big guys. I mean,
he left him for dead.
Yeah, seriously. So now this set up.
Lust in your eyes for Elizabeth.
This set up WrestleMania 5. The Mega Powers explode.
How about when Hogan goes crazy after that? After he gets his ass whipping, and then Brutus tries to save him, and then I think Brutus is going to get his ass whipped too. I guess officials run back there, and then Hogan's like, "Randy," and he's like, I think he shoves one of the referees, or he picks him. I forget. I haven't seen this in a long time. We're gonna review this episode eventually.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, this is great stuff, man. It's over the top, but this is tremendous.
You know, tremendous. This was about 6-7 months in the making that this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And now Hogan's back in the spotlight at WrestleMania 5. Unfortunately, Savage loses the title to Hogan, but what this ended a 371-day reign as champion. It's pretty impressive.
But it is. But I'm gonna tell you what the shame of this is. Now, granted, back then there weren't as many pay-per-views, right? We didn't have the monthly pay-per-views. Macho Man never defends his title at a pay-per-view other than at WrestleMania 5 versus Hulk Hogan. This is true.
I know. Just like Warrior too. Warrior had the one title match at SummerSlam before he defended it again on a pay-per-view and lost it at the Rumble.
Well, at least he had two.
Yeah, but, it's unfortunately Savage didn't have any. And think about it. Savage's total pay-per-view defenses, 2. That's it.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 5, SummerSlam 92. That's
right.
It. I mean, how bad is that?
Yeah. I mean, granted, like I said, we got to put it in the proper context. There were no monthly pay-per-views.
Yeah.
But even still, you had him with Hogan, or in the Royal Rumble.
And they were constantly doing the tag team thing. I mean, so yeah. But in any event, a side note for WrestleMania 5, prior to that match, Savage had been hospitalized with an infected elbow.
He had a staph infection.
Yeah, but he checked himself out of the hospital in order to wrestle Hogan, because we know the workhorse that Savage is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've talked about in the last episode how he choreographed Steamboat.
That was
he's not going to miss this match.
But that was probably That was probably Hogan's best match, at least until that point.
Yeah,
Was versus Macho Man. Uh, this
they
might
brought
have
out the
been.
best in each other.
Oh yeah. This feud was This is one of the best feuds of all time, if not the best.
Mm-hmm.
This storyline and WrestleMania 5 was huge. It was a huge success.
Yes, it was.
Huge numbers.
Yes.
I think I could be wrong about this, but I think the WrestleMania 5 pay-per-view buy stands for a very long time. Like eventually it gets beat, but it holds the record for a while. Mm-hmm.
And the
Powers explode.
Oh yeah. So, and despite he had a heavy bandage on his elbow, over the elbow, and being sick as a result of the infection, he still managed to put on a high quality match against Hogan. And I mean, that's just guts for you, man. That's the determination.
Yeah. No, remember, like, who's Elizabeth going to come out with? Remember that was the whole big thing.
Yeah, she was in the neutral corner.
Yeah.
And Savage kind of keeps messing with her to the point where she has to leave the ringside.
Yeah.
But of course, he hits the elbow on Hogan and does nothing. Hogan gets up. Savage is like, "Oh, what do I got to do? I'm going to hit him." And then here we go. Yeah. And then just like that, wipes out Savage's reign, which is a shame.
It was great. But
I didn't want him to lose the belt yet.
Yeah, but Hogan was so big back then, man. I understood why they made the move. Hogan was he was on a whole other level back then.
Yeah, this is true. So, which now in April, Savage replaced Elizabeth, who stayed with Hogan conveniently, as his manager with Sensational Sherry.
Yes.
Which makes sense, because now you're back to being a heel.
Yeah.
Who better to be a heel manager with you than her?
Yeah, and it worked. It worked.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, and this even led to now at SummerSlam, the Savage teamed with the Human Wrecking Machine Zeus to face the Mega Maniacs now of Hogan and Beefcake, which now I'm wondering, is WrestleMania 6 going to be Hogan and Beefcake?
Yeah.
Are we going to have a Mega Maniacs explode? I mean, what is this? The match was all right. We've commented on it. It wasn't nothing spectacular. I liked the year before's tag team match better.
I like how Sherry used to say Zeus. Zeus. Remember that cauldron? They had like this cauldron one time.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. And wasn't that for SummerSlam?
I
believe it was.
It was for something.
Yeah, and Zeus is over there with his cross eyes.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's out of control. So good. This is such good stuff.
And she's wishing for stuff. I'm thinking, why don't you wish for him to actually have some wrestling moves? Yeah. So, in any event, Savage and Zeus lose this one. The whole loaded purse incident, too, at that one.
Yeah.
Hogan had hit Zeus with Sherry's loaded purse to get the victory. He actually pinned him. Now, this is where, and they all, Savage at this point, he was still big. He was a big heel. They didn't want him to drop. So what they wound up doing is they took, like, I would say a 2 to 3 month break before he got back to Hogan, because in September, Savage adopted the moniker the Macho King after defeating Duggan for the King of the Ring title.
Right. Not the King of the Ring, for anybody that's confused. Not the actual King of the Ring event.
No,
he was
title.
He at that point Duggan was the king because I think he had beat Haku. Is that who we got it from?
Yeah.
Who had beat Harley Race, I believe. So yeah, that's how Macho Man becomes the king, and they have like a coronation ceremony. And his brother's there too.
Yes.
The Genius was there.
Yes. He was the coronation as the new king of WWE, led by the Genius. Matter of fact, it was Ted DiBiase that gave Savage a scepter as a gift.
Mm-hmm. That was nice, man. After they have been mortal enemies before.
It always happens that way. So, and then that led, Savage went on to feud with Duggan at Survivor Series before rekindling or redoing the feud with Hulk Hogan, because once in December of 1989 they had the no holds barred match in the 15-foot high steel cage.
The Stinkfest.
Once again, Savage and Zeus versus Hogan and Beefcake. I believe it was December 27th, 1989. And boy, did this match reek.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just bad.
Well, they had to find a way, because what happened was No Holds Barred bombed in the theaters. Yeah, so they had to find. Yeah, well. So anyway,
I will say I've said it in the No Holds Barred review. I was there opening day.
There you go.
Because I was a Hulk Hogan fan.
You and about 5 other people. But
no, you're gonna laugh, dude. The Fort Way on Fort Hamilton Parkway.
yeah.
When I went with my dad, that place was packed for that.
Okay.
And probably the second
No.
show after everybody said it was garbage, nobody went in. But for that first show, because we went to the matinee, because I believe the Fort Way was doing them at that point. There was a pretty good sized crowd in there for it. I mean, and being a Hulk Hogan fan as a kid,
Yeah, no, it was cool.
you want to see this match, especially when you see the preview of this huge guy Zeus.
Mm-hmm.
Little than we know, they're going to bring him into the WWE.
Yeah, unfortunately, he couldn't wrestle.
No, he couldn't. And this was it for Zeus at this point. But this wasn't it for the feud between Hogan and Savage, which we will get to on in part 3 as we cover their final encounter on what was it? The
main event, I believe.
Yeah, it was a main event.
Yeah,
with the boxer and all. We'll get into all of that.
The whole story
before Savage starts having a sort of a downward spiral before he rejuvenates again. Yeah. But all in all, from the time we covered from '87 until this, that was one of the biggest highlights of his career.
Oh yeah.
Before we get to '91 and '92.
Yeah, definitely.
But sad that he didn't keep the belt, man.
Yeah. All right. So you guys make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care, guys.